Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Global Fact Radio.
Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to episode 1 of Full Disclosure, the Dean Clifford Files on Global Fact Radio. Today is Tuesday, the 16th of April, and I'm your host, Tony Boutros. Now, some of you might be wondering why I call this episode 1, and why do I need more than one episode? This will be explained shortly, so just be patient. Also, some of you might be wondering why you cannot type in the chat. This will also be explained shortly. Now, at times I might sound like I'm reading, and that's because I am. I made some notes to help me stay focused and not miss anything important, because there's a lot of information to cover here. I will be presenting the evidence of my most recent conversations with Dean just before he got incarcerated, because that's when Alex was introduced into the picture and when all these problems began. Okay, so you just got to bear with me here so I can navigate my screens. Hopefully you guys can see my screen sharings. Okay. Now, in response to Dean Clifford's questionable post, which you see on the screen right now, that he made on his forum on March 26th, exactly 8 days after the FU concept was unveiled, I promised to release evidence of my conversations with Dean in order to out the truth. Keep in mind that I gave him plenty of time to come forward and make things right, but to date he hasn't. Since I am a man of my word, as promised, I'm now releasing the audio recordings, email, and images of the text messages of my most recent conversations with Dean just before and after his incarceration. My motive is not to convince anyone to take sides, but rather to let the truth be known so we can once and for all put this thing behind us and move forward, as I feel everyone deserves at least that. In my opinion, these conversations regarding the FU project affect everyone in the freedom movement and hence should be a matter of public record. That said, what you decide to do with this information is entirely up to you. After full disclosure, if you choose to continue following Dean, all the power to you. I wish you all the best on the path you've chosen. On the flip side, if you decide to be part of the FU project, then I would be honored to embark on this journey with you. Some of you might have already expressed that you are in favor of seeing this evidence. Others feel it is unnecessary and it should be dealt with in private. I'm sorry, but I don't share the opinion of the latter, as this type of thinking is dangerous and promotes secrecy. This is the very same thing we have been trying to avoid with our governments. Dean is not just another member. He is a public figure and a leader in the movement, and as such, any discussions that could have an effect on the people and the movement must be made public. Those who disagree, you're entitled to your own opinion, of course, but I would appreciate it if you would keep it to yourselves, as I'm not here to engage in any arguments or disputes with you. This is not the purpose of this episode. Full disclosure and complete transparency is what this is about, and what I believe in. This is the promise I made, and I will keep this promise. If you don't like it, tough, deal with it. That said, if you have valid questions that you would like clarification for, then identify yourself and ask away. I would be more than happy to answer any question regarding this matter. And I would prefer that you do it on the air, and I ask this for 2 reasons. 1, I want to hear your voice as you ask your question. And 2, I want it recorded on the archive for all to hear. I'll even conference you in so you won't have to pay the long distance charges. All you have to just provide me with your number and I'll conference you in. But if you're going to hide behind a nickname and spew propaganda and attacks in the chat room just to discredit me, then I'm sorry, I don't have time for that crap. Furthermore, the chat privileges will be turned off while I present the evidence to avoid any distractions. They will be turned back on in the Q&A portion of the episode. So I suggest you grab a paper and pen and write down your questions. The reason I decided to air the evidence on the show is simply because some of our listeners are not members of our Facebook group, and they have as much right to hear the evidence as everyone else. Due to the amount of evidence that we presented, it might be necessary to do it in 2 or 3 episodes, depending on the time it would take to get it all done. Some of the evidence will be presented via screen sharing. It will also be uploaded to the Global Fact server, so the people who can't listen to the live show can download it and follow as they listen to the archives. I'm also trying something new today for the first time. I've acquired a software that allows me to record my screen. If this works, it's my first time trying it, so if this is successful, then this will create an actual video of what I'm showing you, and that video will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Therefore, it will be there as long as you watch the video. The video would have no audio to it, so as long as you watch the video along with the actual archived show, you should be able to follow along as well. That said, here are the instructions to follow in order to be able to see my screen. You'll have to go to this link, and I'm going to post it for the second time on the chat room. There it is. When you click on this link, you will get a pop-up window asking you to run application. Also, you will see a message in your browser saying your meeting will begin shortly. Sometimes this pop-up window will be hidden out of sight behind your browser window. You might have to minimize all your open windows to see it. When you do see it, click the Run application in that pop-up window. You will then be asked to save a file. You must save this file and run it after it is saved. Once this is done, you will be able to see my screen. Now, this should only be done once. If you've shared my screen before on previous episodes, then you don't have to repeat these steps. You should be able to see my screen now. If this is your first time, then you need to follow these 5 steps. So before I start, I'm going to give you guys some time to do this. It should take about 2 to 3 minutes or so to get this done for those people who don't have the screen sharing. And while this is happening, I'm going to play a song. And we'll start with the actual presentation after the song is done.
Strength and honor.
Okay, I hope you had enough time to do the screen sharing steps. I also want to make sure that I give you enough time to read the full post of Dean. For those of you who are not part of his forum, cannot read this. So this is the first one, and it continues here on the second one. So I'll give you a moment for that. Now, while some of you are reading Dean's forum post, I'm going to give you a little bit of background history of how the FU project came to be. So this all started late October 2012. I approached Dean and proposed the FU concept to him, and it was done in this manner. Initially, when I did the first episode with Dean Clifford, he had mentioned on the air that he had been inactive for about a year or so since the last time he did a video or did anything, that he's been kind of sitting quietly for a while. And that my episode is the actual catalyst that brought him back out into being active. When he made that statement, I thought about it. I said, okay, what better way, if he's going to go active again, is to give him the avenue, or the venue, I should say, that will allow him to be able to spread his message. Because like you, at the time, I was also a strong believer of Dean Clifford. So I offered him to do a weekly show, and we told him we'd call it How To, and he agreed. Then about a week or so later, I thought of the FU concept, and I called him up, and we spoke on the phone, actually on Skype. All our conversations were mostly on Skype. And I told him, Dean, how long have you been teaching this stuff? And he said, roughly 3 years. I then asked him, how many people have you taught this to? He said, quite a few. And I know that quite a few view his videos as well. Then I asked him, how many of these people that listen to your information actually sorry, I'm just getting a message on Skype here. So how many people that you actually got this material actually apply it? And he said not many, not as many as he'd like. And I asked him, why is that? And at first he didn't have an answer, and we kind of went back and forth. I told him, let me share with you why I think this happens. And I told him, I said, I believe the reason why this happens is because of fear. Not one type of fear, several types of fear. Bottom line, it's fear-based. People might know the stuff, but they sit on it and do nothing because they're scared of, if they do anything, they might get thrown in jail, and they'll be all alone. They have no support system, or not, because not everybody is a Dean Clifford. Not everybody is willing to go spend a month in jail. Other type of fear would be the fear that if they surrender, let's say, or they do anything that what they learn from Dean, then they might lose their job. So they might not want to surrender their driver's license or their social insurance number or whatever the case may be. Others feel that if they lose their job, they lose their livelihood. So there's a whole bunch of aspects around fear. So I said to Dean, well, what if we eliminate the fear factor? If we provide the people with a method that they can learn the stuff and not rely on the current corrupt system for their livelihood, so that we presented them also with a way to earn a living doing something that they love, something they have a passion for, which is learning about their freedom and their rights and sharing that with others. Let's face it, how many of us go to our job and wish that we're not going to that job, but we do it just for the sake of making ends meet, putting food on the table, but really we don't like what we're doing. So I figured it's kind of like it's a win-win. People get to do what they love. Everybody has passion for freedom, and they get to earn a living, and it will free them from the corrupt system. So that's how I presented it to Dean. He loved it right away. Okay, so he loved the concept right from the start. Dean was well aware of the compensation plan that I presented on March 18th from the start, and he was very much in favor of it. Contrary to what some unscrupulous person had said on Dean's forum, that while Dean was in jail, I was busy developing a pyramid scheme to make myself rich, which is totally preposterous. Now, being that Dean was aware of the business model as to be used to develop the alternate economy. By the way, that term alternate economy, that was Dean's term, not mine. I presented to him as a way for them to earn a livelihood doing something they like, so they don't have to depend on the current system. He said, yes, it's something. It would be like creating our own alternate economy. That was his term, not mine. Dean promoted FU on and off the air, and those of you who listened to the shows over the last 5 months, I guess, or so, you've probably heard it more than once. It's plain and simple. And anyone who says otherwise, I'll call him a liar to his face. I admit that Dean cautioned me that we shouldn't mention the business side of FU until we had more of the education side ready. Although at the time, I honestly didn't believe it was much of a concern. I didn't think people would react negatively about the compensation plan as long as it was explained properly and they could see clearly that it truly was an equal opportunity proposition for everyone to earn a living doing something they love, and not a money-making scheme for the founders. Nevertheless, I agreed to say nothing till he had his stuff ready. This was back in October. Initially, I had a tech person who was willing to develop the web platform that would house the education material, and the web software that will automate the sign-up and placement process for the compensation plan, so we didn't have to do it manually. But that person decided not to do it for whatever reason. I informed Dean of this, and I told him that I had someone else in mind that could do it. He then suggested Alex, which is the guy who built his forum. I believe that was sometime in January 2013. I had no objection to Alex being part of it, but I reminded him of the agreement that we had already made back in October, that only Dean and I would make all the decisions regarding FU, and anyone who comes on board as contributor would have non-voting shares. This was to avoid a takeover by any one person or group of people. I'm sure you could appreciate if Dean and I are going to put our time and energy into FU, the last thing we want is the contributors who bring in teaming up together and using their power, if they were given voting shares, to outrank us and throw us out, to basically take over the FU from under our noses. We didn't want that to happen. That was when Dean suggested that anybody who comes on board with FU must sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. That was Dean's suggestion. You'll also hear this mentioned on the audio recordings when I play them. Dean was in full agreement. Alex has, on several occasions, however, made accusation that I made it clear that I wanted full control of FU all to myself, which is a blatant lie, and he knows it. And you will hear the truth on the recordings as well. Where are we here? Okay. In any case, I was not against the idea of bringing Alex on board as a contributor, meaning he would have non-voting shares, just the same as any other contributor, like whether it is Winston Shrout, Robert Menard, whoever other contributors would bring on board, they would have the same deal. There was two methods of compensating the contributors that Dean and I were considering. One way was to give each contributor, as well as Dean and myself, equal share, except that the contributors' shares would be non-voting, and the founders' shares, meaning Dean and I, would have the only voting shares. The second method was to give each contributor a percentage based on his or her contribution. But the total given to all contributors would amount to no more than 49% of the shares. The founders would keep the controlling interest of 51%, again to avoid takeover. It was further agreed that neither of the founders, Dean nor I, would be permitted to use our shares to team up with any of the contributors for the purpose of muscling out the other founder. In other words, Dean and I could never use our shares to go up against each other. That's what he and I agreed upon. Anyway, Dean and I decided to hold a three-way conference on Skype so that I can explain the workings of the compensation plan to Alex in order to determine two things. One, if he had the skills to develop the platform, and two, how much it would cost. Keep in mind that Dean had already seen the comp plan once before, and this would be his second time seeing the presentation. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the first piece of evidence, which is text messages to prove to you. Just give me a second here. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so here we go. We have, you can see up top here, it says Dean Clifford. So this is a screen capture right from my iPhone. And that was on January 31st, 2013. It says right here, at 8:47 p.m., I sent a message to Dean. This is after we had decided to set up a conference call between him, myself, and Alex. I said, hey, Dean, can we have a three-way conference between you, Alex, and me tomorrow at 5 p.m., your time? I already told Alex, and he's fine with it. Okay, going to the next slide. He replied, again on January 31st at 9:26 p.m., I will have to leave work a little earlier than planned, but I'll make it work. I said, okay, cool. Then the next day on February 1st, as you can see down here on the next slide, I said, hey, Dean, Alex is online. Are you ready for the conference? He replied and said, 5 minutes. I said, okay, on Skype, please. Moving to the next slide. Then I said, hey, Dean. Oh, no, sorry. Let me go back to the previous slide here. So if you notice, when I said, okay, on Skype, this was all at 3 p.m. If you look down at the next slide, it's same date, February 1st, at 7:26 p.m. So that was this message here that you see now that says, hey, Dean, quick question. That I sent to him after the conference has concluded. Okay, so we'll come back to this slide a little later. Okay. The conference was held on Friday, February 1st, 2013, one day before Dean's arrest. I know in the past, and on one of the other recordings, I had said that it was about a week before Dean's arrest, but after cross-referencing the evidence, I now realize that I had made a mistake and got my dates mixed up. Anyway, the three-way conference took place actually one day before Dean's arrest and not 1 week before. At the end of the conference, we had decided to schedule a second conference for the following Friday, a week later. But that never happened since Dean got arrested on February 2nd. Okay? So now I'm going to play for you guys the first of 4 recordings. But the 4 recordings, you're not going to hear them today. There, here you can see all 4. You're not going to hear them today because there's not enough time allotted on the show to do it. That's the reason why we're going to have to do it in 2 or 3 episodes. So if you just bear with me, I will start the audio. All right, here we go. Now this audio is 30 minutes 55. I don't know what you're going to do. Here's what I suggest you do. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down any questions that you might have. And at the end of the audio, that's when the Q&A session will take place, and I'll answer any question you have. One thing I want to point out, that keep in mind that in these audios you might hear something that might not make sense to you because this recording was done after Dean was released. This is the first recording I'm showing you. This is after he was released from jail. So there's been many conversations beforehand between him and I. So things I might say might not make sense to you. Things he might say might not make sense to you. Though, if you have questions about those, I'll be more than happy to answer them later. Okay, so starting the audio file now.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going, dude?
Good, you?
Oh, man. I'm getting caught up in my sleep a little bit.
Well, it's so good to hear your voice after all this time.
Yeah, no shit, eh?
Crap, a lot of people, are dying to know what's going on. Like what?
Well, I definitely wasn't expecting to be away for a whole month, but I stuck it out, and the matter's finished. It's done. So, and they got nothing, and they're in a lot of shit now.
So how did they? On what basis did they release you?
They stayed all proceedings against me.
Well, but stayed meaning they can open it up again, can't they?
They're not going to.
No.
It's the safe position. They can't withdraw because withdraw is an admission that they knew it was a frivolous filing, which means that they stay proceedings. And of course they've got the option allegedly to come back anytime over the course of a year, but that's fine. I actually prefer that the charges are still lodged in the courts. In fact, they can't withdraw it because I already claimed the charges. I own them now. I lead them. So they couldn't withdraw even if they wanted to, so they had to stay proceedings.
So what was it that you did or somebody else did that got them to do that, to make that decision?
Well, there's actually, unfortunately, because a couple of people were doing a few things, and actually I kind of instructed people. I actually didn't want anything being done because I wanted to test a lot of my shit out. But there was a habeas corpus that was filed, but the habeas corpus was never heard because the guy that filed it didn't make it to court for when the hearing was. But they had already made the decision to stay proceedings before the habeas corpus hearing anyways.
But hold on a second.
Probably.
I thought it was your decision to file the habeas corpus.
Well, actually, I was not opposed to it. I said, yeah, go ahead and file it in Queen's Bench. So, and then there's a few things, but then there's some paperwork that I filed in behind the scenes also that went into the court, which is something I'm not going to be talking about a whole lot. But either way, it doesn't matter. They had to stay proceedings on 8 charges against me, and there's a lot to be said for what happened as well. Because you got to remember, number one, I've got a pretty big target on my back right now.
Yes, I hear you know that.
And for them to have to stay proceedings on all 8 charges and not even seek prosecution on even one of them, even a traffic ticket, all of them were stayed, looks very bad for them. You would think that, worst case, they would have tried to stay most of them and at least attempt to prosecute maybe like driving without a license, but they didn't. They had to state everything.
Well, I read the transcript from your last appearance, all 28 pages of them. Did they ever get you the video footage off the dashboard of the cruiser?
Yeah, I'm picking it up on Monday, and that's those transcripts are not accurate. I think they were sufficiently cleansed.
By who?
Well, by the court transcript service.
So that would explain why the clerk did not sign them.
No. And not only that, but you'll notice, I haven't read them myself yet, but apparently there's a whole bunch of spots where it says, what's the word for it? Like basically where they, inaudible, I think it says.
Yes.
As soon as it looks like I'm about to make some kind of a point, or I'm going to bring up some law or something, it all of a sudden just says inaudible.
Yes.
I can tell you right now that the voice I was using in court and my demeanor, it's impossible for what I said to be inaudible. So they just cleanse shit. They don't care. Like how many callers? Remember how many people were asking? Well, how come we don't have any case law to back up? Victories or successes. And that's exactly what happens when you're going to win, and they have absolutely no claim. They just stay all proceedings.
Well, obviously, unfortunately, that happened to you. But I think what happened to you has inspired a lot of action to be taken. I mean, it inspired Robert Menard to put out his new video, which I think was amazing.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet.
Oh, you got to take a look at this video. It's really to the point. It drives the message home, and he's if he decides to do what he says he's going to do in the video, which is he said he got himself a beater and is going to go and test out his theory about what he talked about in the video. if he does do that and reports the results, I mean, it's going to be, anyway, I thought it was a very, very well explained, well made video myself. But the unfortunate thing that happened to you, but I think on a positive side, if you're still gung-ho about FU, I think it solidifies the position where you, when you said before you went to jail, when you said that your goal is, in the long run, is to have kind of a sovereign nation or a kind of a coalition where if something like this were to happen, the whole coalition comes down on the system.
Yep, exactly, and that's and all it took also, and that actually exactly proved my point as well, because and the whole thing was a positive experience, by the way. I absolutely do not mind spending 26 days in jail for the learning experience that it was and everything that we were able to accomplish. But exactly to the point I was saying is that with the whole you fuck with one of us, you fuck with all of this kind of thing, number one, they learned a lesson that we're not as unorganized as they probably thought we were, because Martin flew out here and was able to get a very, very lengthy and well-written habeas corpus. It was a collaboration from a lot of people filed. So they know that we're not abandoning people anymore either. Like usually when they took down organizations like Paradigm Group, as soon as they went and took down one guy, everybody disappeared thinking they're going to be next. Instead of all coming together to say, hey, whoa, what the fuck? And that's what happened this time. They had a severe backlash for what they did.
Well, that's good. They were caught with their pants down. That's good.
Yes, exactly. So there's that, and then there's the other big thing is, like I say, for them to have to stay proceedings on every charge is basically confirmation that we are correct.
So what's your plan of action regarding this now?
There's going to be a monstrous civil claim filed, because it doesn't matter if they only stayed proceedings. Even staying proceedings is an admission that and the Crown actually said right in the courtroom, they claimed that the reason that they were staying all proceedings was that when they went back and reviewed the evidence again, they came to the conclusion that everything was purely circumstantial. And that made me laugh, because number one, none of it was purely circumstantial. And I piped in and I said, actually, that's not true. I said, it is a fact. I don't have a driver's license, and I was driving unregistered, and I don't have a license plate or insurance. That's a matter of fact. I said, I'm guilty of the facts. And they didn't like that a whole lot. They still had to stay proceedings, but it is a fact. I don't have a driver's license. I confess to that. How is that circumstantial? So that's clearly not the case.
Yeah.
But even if it was circumstantial, that's an admission that they held me in jail for 26 days on what they knew or ought to have known was completely, purely circumstantial evidence.
Right.
That means they're either incompetent or they were willfully involved in malicious prosecution. And either way, in the end, they had to let me out without and stayed like there isn't one charge left, nothing. And if that doesn't prove to people that we're right, then they're just not willing. They're just not willing to listen at all.
Well, personally, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the feeling I got from this whole thing is that they know they're wrong, because I mean, how can you dispute the video footage of the guy coming up grabbing you from behind?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure they knew they can't win once the evidence. I think they were trying to keep you in there as long as they possibly can to make an example out of you.
Possibly, but they usually never stay proceedings on every charge. They always try to leave at least one, because they need to try to get that conviction.
And they probably were planning on doing that, but they, like you said, they didn't know what they were up against.
No, they did, and not only that, but there was no way in hell I was contracting with that court.
Like
I refused to make application for bail. I would not grant them jurisdiction. They were really flustered.
I don't think they were planning. I personally don't think they were planning for the outcome to be like this. I think they knew they're holding you without probable cause. They're violating their rights. I think here's what I think. I personally think they were trying to make an example out of you. They're probably going to charge you on something, and they thought they probably can get away doing that. But then they realized what they're up against with the effort of Martin and whoever else was helping him. They realized that if they try to draw up any charges against you and push through with them, they're not going to come out looking good. So as a last minute thing, they decided to stay on all charges.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had nothing in the first place, and then there's the other stuff. I did some trust stuff in behind the scenes too. That it's like you could call it a multi-pronged approach. We actually attacked them from 3 different jurisdictions, from 3 completely separate jurisdictions, and we really did them. It was more than they just decided to cut their losses. It was more than that, because at the last hearing, when the Crown was letting the judge know they were staying all proceedings, there's some really weird shit that went down, and that Crown attorney was really, really nervous. So something went down, and they're basically we're in damage control phase. And again, they can't withdraw. They can't drop the charges because they don't own them anymore, because I already liened them.
Well, I guess you pretty much going to agree with me then that tomorrow on the show that's probably going to be the main topic.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking so, and I think the big thing that I want to get across to people is that if that isn't proof, if that isn't what people could consider a win, by having the Crown stay proceedings on 8 charges, ranging from driving without a license, imprudent driving, driving unregistered, driving without insurance, you name it, like 8 charges, and the last one would be assaulting a peace officer, which they consider to be very serious. And considering the size of the target on my back, knowing that the minute they stay proceedings and they let me out of jail, that is a win. We still consider that a huge win. That's going to be all over Facebook within 5 minutes, and their problem is just going to be much worse now.
Well, okay, definitely we'll talk about that tomorrow on the show. I'm sure a lot of people, based on what the feedback I've been getting on Facebook and on also through email, they're saying, could you make, like some people are asking, could you talk about or get Dean to talk about what happened and what he experienced while he was in jail and stuff, how did everything go down and all that stuff. They want to know all the details.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's an easy 2 hours there. No worries.
Okay. Now, on a different topic, I got something that, and I'm a little bit disturbed about, and I don't know how to talk to you about this, and I think the best way is just to come right out and say it. We have a serious issue, but before I get into it, I want to ask you, where do you stand so far with respect to FU?
Well, there's it's obviously still something that I'm interested in. I think that there's no question that we should be looking into getting something like that off the ground.
Okay.
I'm well aware of the fact that there was, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it friction between you and Alex.
All you heard, okay, with all due respect, all you heard is one side.
I actually have heard no side. In fact, I actually told everybody, I said, you know what? I said, I actually don't even want to hear anybody's side.
No, you heard it from Darren, right?
No, actually, to be honest with you, all he said is there was some friction between you and Alex. You were not getting along whatsoever, like at all, and it's probably going to be impossible that you two work together.
Okay, well, it's a lot more serious than that. And it started off, I thought when it started off with something menial, something that we can work out when you come out. But I've got possession of some stuff that was sent to me, and it's going to be very disturbing what you hear what Alex is saying.
Okay.
Now, I want your word of honor, because the person who sent me this, and I have no problem forwarding the document to you, it's an actual screen capture of a discussion that happened on your forum. Okay? But in private. It was a private discussion. I promised the guy that I will only show it to you in the event that you discredit what I'm saying and don't believe what I'm saying. But he doesn't want it to go public.
Well, any conversations I have with people in privacy always stays in privacy, and you know that from even the show where I've said once I caught myself one time about to mention something that I speak about with others that is held in confidence with other people I talk to all the time, and I stopped and said, oh wait, no, I can't talk about that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I just want to make it clear because it's not about me. This is about this guy who he put his faith in me, and he told me, look, I heard what's going on. I don't think it's fair what Alex is doing, because he hears what Alex has been saying about me on the other side. He says, I think you should know what's been going on. I'm going to send you some stuff, but only use it if you absolutely have to. Okay. Anyway, let me start. Do you remember that you and I, before you brought Alex on board, you and I discussed the matter that, well, actually I discussed it with you and you agreed. I said to you, listen, this is too important of a project because you and I have a potential of doing something that could make a huge difference in the world. Agreed?
Oh, there's no question.
Okay. And it's something big because it offers that potential of people to earn an income out of it so they don't have to rely on a corrupt system, right?
Yes.
Okay. So before you brought Alex on board, I said to you, look, I have no problem with people like whether like with Rob Bernard or Max Egan, these people that are going to come and contribute to the project. I have no problem giving them a percentage of the whole of what we're doing, as long as you and I agree that you and I are the founders, we have final say, they get non-voting shares. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was essentially the substance of it, yeah.
Okay, basically, what I don't want is people kind of pulling power trips and trying to hijack this thing from within and destroying all the work that we're doing. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so I don't know what you had told Alex, but do you remember also, and I got the text messages that happened between you and me after we had that three-way conference when I showed him the composition plan. I sent you, right after we finished the three-way conference, I sent you a message and I said to you, Dean, how much of a percentage did you tell Alex going to have? He said, I haven't told him any. I said, well, I think he's expecting an equal share and an equal say in what goes on with the company. You told me, no, I don't think he's expecting anything other than being treated fairly. I said, fair enough, but we and I should discuss this and let him know before he starts doing the work, out of fairness to him, out of fairness to us. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I definitely remember saying he just wants to be treated fairly, yes.
Yes. But do you remember, the text messages are there. You can check on your phone. They're there, right? The last thing what was said is that I think you don't need to discuss this so that we can tell him what we're going to give him, what position he's going to play in this, and so that it will be fair to him, so he can decide whether he wants it or not before he puts in all the work. So there ought to be out of fairness to him, out of fairness to us. You didn't reply to that, but I figured, that you're in agreement with that, and then after that we never got to talk because that's when you got thrown in the slammer.
Yep.
Okay, now, the reason why I sent you a text message after the 3 o'clock is I had a feeling, and don't ask me how, I just have this gut feeling. One of my skills, your skills is knowing all about the law and trust law. My skills is sizing up people. I lived a long enough life now to know how to size up people. And I have this gut feeling that, because he kept saying throughout the whole conference, is like, I don't want to be in this unless I have, unless I'm involved. And I really didn't know what he meant by involved. But afterwards, now after I've seen what he's been saying, now I know what he means by involved. He wants to be at the level that you and I are at. Did you promise him that he would be at that level?
I don't think I was ever very specific. The only thing I remember about any of this was that originally when you were thinking that you had somebody that was going to be potentially designing the site or getting the whole plan together or whatnot, you originally did have a third placement for somebody at the top there. But if I remember correctly, no, they weren't going to have any say in what went on, but they were just going to have a share of everything that they were helping to build and whatnot. But the only thing I would have ever said is, mentioned to Alex there, is if in terms, I'm trying to be very careful with my wording here, that his involvement would obviously include a share of the greater whole.
Yeah, but that's fine. Not only him. If Max Egan came on board, he would get a share. If Robert Menard came on board, remember that the second product we're selling for the $100 is the inner circle, correct?
Yes.
Which means for these guys to contribute their material, they want to get something for us. So we're going to give them a share, but these shares will be non-voting shares. So they can share the profits, but they'll be non-voting shares. Which means that you and I direct FU.
Yeah, content and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Not just content, like the business side of it, the administration side of it. What I didn't want, Dean, is I didn't want somebody going on a fucking power trip and then trying to muscle us out and trying to take over the whole project that you and I spent a lot of time building. You and I have an understanding. We trust each other. We have an understanding that we're doing this not for us to get rich. We're doing this to make a difference. Because you and I understand the compensation plan. Somebody 1,000 levels deep can make more than you and I can making, depending on how hard they work, how many people they bring in, right or wrong.
Yep, no, that was the outline I saw for the compensation plan.
That's how it's designed. It's not designed for us to be at the top of the pyramid scheme where the money flows upwards and the shit flows downwards. It doesn't work that way. If it was that kind of a compensation plan, I'd fucking thrash it in a second, because I don't like those kind of bullshit stuff. This compensation plan is designed specific to succeed. Anybody, no matter how many levels deep they are, anybody has the potential of making more than the founders, depending on how many people they bring into the system. If you and I brought in only 10 people each, and then somebody brings in 25, that guy's going to make a lot more money than we are. That's how this thing's designed. Anyway, I'll get back to that in a second. You and I also discussed we also discussed the NDA, correct? That everybody should be signing an NDA?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, for when we start discussing things that we don't want getting out there, people would obviously have to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Well, I actually thought we were going to do that before I disclosed the compensation plan to Alex, but nevertheless, I trusted that you trust him, and I went ahead and did it without an NDA. I would prefer that he did sign an NDA. Now that I see what he's been writing, I wish I had insisted that he signs an NDA. Here's what happened. After you got thrown remember when we had the 3-week call, we were supposed to meet for another meeting the following Friday.
Yeah.
Right? But then on the Friday night, you got thrown in jail, correct?
Yeah, Saturday night.
Saturday night, okay. So we never had our meeting on Friday. The following day, you got thrown in jail. You got arrested. All of a sudden, 2 days after you get arrested, I get a message from Alex on Skype saying, can you please send me the compensation plan, the hard copy of it, like the actual files. I didn't reply that same night, because after the radio show, because that was the Monday night radio show, that was the first Monday after you got arrested, that's when we announced everything and all that. After the radio show, I was exhausted. I just walked away from the computer, went out for the rest of the night. I didn't come back to my computer until the next morning. Next morning, I see his message there. I replied to it and I said, let's wait till Dean gets out. That was my reply. That's it. There was no other conversation between me and him other than that. He asked for the compensation plan, and I said, let's wait for Dean to get out. That's it, nothing else. The next time I heard his voice is when Darren was given an update, which was the following Monday. He was given an update on your situation, and Alex came on. He asked me to piggyback him on because he can't call in himself. I piggybacked him onto the radio show so he can give people the second number that he called to the Winnipeg Revand Center. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing I know, I went to go to your forum because when you and I and him had the 3-way conference, he was supposed to create an account for me. Remember that?
Say that again, sorry?
When him and I had the 3-way conference, I asked him if I can have an account on your forum. He said yes, he's going to create one for me.
Oh, yes.
He said he's going to do that after the 3-way conference. He never did. I had to remind him a few days later, and he actually did it. He created the account for me. He sent me the password and all that stuff. So on the week following your arrest, around midweek, I tried to go to the forum. I'm logging in. I'm getting all these errors. I'm going, what the hell's going on? Did I get the password wrong? So I go check the email he sent me. No, the password's right. Everything's right. Why am I not able to get on? It turns out, because he didn't like my answer on Skype, he deleted me from your forum. He deleted me from his Skype. He defriended me on his Facebook. And he left. He was a member of the Global Fact group. He left the group. And I don't know. I wasn't aware of all this at all till I tried to log into your forum. If I hadn't tried to log into your forum, I wouldn't have been aware at all of it. Because he didn't tell me anything. He didn't say one word. Nothing. He just did it all. Now, if he doesn't want to be my friend on Facebook, fine. It's no fucking skin off my nose. I don't care. If he doesn't want to be a member of Global Fact group, I don't give a shit either. If he doesn't want to be on my Skype, I don't care either. But to my understanding, the DeanClifford.info, that's your site, is it not, or am I wrong on that?
.info?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's technically my site. I just kind of let him run everything, though.
So he's the administrator for the site.
Yeah, basically, he kind of does everything.
Okay. Well, the administrator, I'm an administrator of my own sites, and I administered chat rooms in the past as well. The administrator is supposed to ban people from the forum when they break forum rules, not because of personal reasons. He's in a position of trust, and I don't know if you agree with that. It's your site. You placed him in a position of trust to run things for you and to take care of the forum and all that stuff. He deleted me because he didn't fucking like my answer. Then he started spreading all this fucking bullshit to the other people like Martin and Nora and Darren that I'm not a team player, that I'm not doing fucking anything. I'm trying to take credit for everything and this and that. I fucking put on 3 shows when you were not even there to try to get people to send in the affidavits and all that stuff. I did those shows to keep people up to date. Then I found out I'm fucking cut off from the forum. And then I found out he's telling all these people these bullshit lies about me. That I'm trying to kick him out of FU and not allow him to be in FU. All I wanted is, I said, let's wait till Dean to get out, because I don't want to give him the compensation plan until 1, you're out, and until 2, you get him to sign an NDA. And I think that's within my right. Not to mention the fact that you're the one who suggested it in the first place. Now, here's the thing. I never did anything on your forum. I never contributed in terms of comments or nothing. I go there, I read, I see what people are talking about, and then, so I never broke any of your forum rules. I'm wondering, why the fuck, under what authority did he delete my account? Because he didn't like my answer that I told him, let's wait till Dean to get out? Now, put yourself, imagine this. Imagine that that you own Global Fact and I'm running it, okay? The Facebook group. You own it and I'm running it for you. And Darren is a member there. Darren gives me an answer that I don't like on Skype, and I go delete him from Global Fact. Would that be ethical?
Well, I'm gonna abstain from answering that.
Okay, fine.
I'm gonna take the position of Sweden.
Well, I don't think you should, but that's fine. It's your choice, but I don't think you should. I think it's a violation of trust what he did. First of all, him deleting himself off my Skype, defriending me on Facebook, and leaving the Global Fact group. That's fine. That's his prerogative. That's his choice. But deleting my account on your forum without your say-so, without you saying, yeah, get his ass out of there, I think that's overusing his power. If you don't agree, fine. Don't agree. That's up to you. But here's the other stuff that I think you cannot dispute, that his integrity is fucking questionable. You heard all the discussions that happened on the 3-way conference. You were there, right?
On the which conference?
On the 3-way conference we had.
Well, yeah, I was there for the one I was there for, obviously.
So
yeah.
you're well aware of that I was not totally. When you came to me, even though I had somebody else that could do the IT work, the website work, when you suggested Alex, did I object in any way?
No.
I was actually told, yeah, he's a good guy. Let's bring him on board, right? Okay, here's the stuff he says. This person that he talked to, he was kind of saying, I don't know why he's saying this stuff about Tony, because from what I understand, he is working very hard for this movement, all that stuff. Now here's what Alex replied. Not very pleased. Some games are being played with that host Tony. Notice how the website, forum, or my involvement with FU. He's trying to cut me out as he wants to run everything and take full credit. He's not a team player. Then in another thread, he continues, he isn't a team player from what I've seen. He's played a lot of games this week. Dean brought me on board as the senior person to build the platform for FU. I don't know what the fuck he means by senior person. Tony has made it clear he wants total control and give no credit to others involved in all this. When the fuck did I do that, Dean? Excuse me, I mean, I'm pretty pissed off, yes. When did I ever make that insinuation?
Well, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, it never happened, because I've never talked to Alex after that 3-day conference. I told you, the only exchange him and I had together was him asking for the compensation plan, me saying let's wait for Dean, and that's it. So I don't know where the fuck he gets this from. Then he continues, he was non-responsive for most of last week, which he ignored many who are working behind the scenes, then made it out that he's doing all this work. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I mean, I'm running my own business. I'm running the Global Fact Forum. I got my case with my son, which he just turned 1 year old on February 26th. I haven't fucking seen my son yet. I'm trying to get him over here. What does he want me to fucking do? Sit there and be at his beck and call? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I was non-responsive. He sent me one message, I replied the next morning. What the fuck is he talking about? I have no clue what he's talking about. Then he continues, he doesn't realize that I've done many things to drive traffic to.
Okay, now that's when the Skype line got shut down, and it took me several tries to get Dean back up again. I wasn't sure if there was a blizzard going on in Winnipeg at the time or not, but and while I was trying to get him up, I had turned off my iPhone recorder, and unfortunately, I forgot to turn it back on when I got Dean back up. But the rest of my conversation with him went basically me talking to him about this document here that I'm showing on my screen right now, of the conversation that took place in private messages between Alex and the gentleman that goes by the name of Wi-Fi Kills. He's the same gentleman that put up the YouTube channel, Skylark, and he uploaded all of Dean's how-to episodes onto his channel. So many of you guys might know him. This is the actual logo of the channel that he used. You'll probably recognize it by that right over here. Now, before I release this publicly, don't worry, because I don't release anything publicly unless I get permission or unless I think it's a matter of public record. I did talk to this person. I did get his permission. He gave me his full blessing to release this document personally. So for the remainder of the conversation with Dean was basically covering this document, which I'll come back to in a second here. But first I want to address a couple of things from what you've heard so far. Okay. Dean said at the beginning, near the beginning of the video, the audio. I was asking him about, his stay in jail, and he said that he'd be getting the video footage on Monday. Now, this call took place on March 3rd, which is exactly 3 days after he got out, and exactly 1 day before the show that was entitled Dean Tells All, where he told us his story about what happened to him in his incarceration. This was the night before the show. He says he's going to get the footage on Monday, which means the next day, because I was talking to him on Sunday. Where is it? Have any of you guys seen it yet, this video footage? Now, at 12 minutes and 20 seconds into the audio, Dean confirmed that he's still very much committed to the FU project, because I asked him straight out. I knew he was aware of the friction between Alex and what Alex was doing, between the friction between Alex and me, because Darren told me that he told him, and I have a recording of Darren telling me that. And so I asked Dean right out, how do you still feel about FU? And he said he's still very much interested. He wants to see it get off the ground. Now, I also want to point out the fact that in there we talk about share of profits. Now, we were not, even though me and Dean used that term, or I used that term, we were not expecting profit, because Dean and I have discussed this in the past, in the earlier months, when we were first talking about the concept, that how this would work is that Dean and I and any contributor, the way we would make our money would be through the affiliate program, like everybody else. So it would be equal opportunity right across the board. The money, the profit we're referring to here would be the monthly affiliate fees of $19.95 a month. Let's round it up to $20, and the one-time sign-up fee of $100, which goes directly to FU. Now that money was supposed to pay all FU expenses, anything that has to do with research and development, hiring staff for research, because Dean had mentioned that he's not going to do it all himself. He's going to have to get some people to help him with the research. So these people are probably going to want to get paid. So it was to pay that, pay administration. Now from the business side of it, for affiliate support, anybody having problem with their website, because every affiliate was supposed to get their own replicated site of FU. So any technical problems that way, they call in customer support or tech support. Well, somebody's going to pay these people. So there's a lot of expenses going to be incurred. So the profits were to pay for those expenses. Now, plus there was mention from Dean of other projects that he wanted to include under the umbrella of FU. He mentioned that in passing. He didn't spend too much time on it, but he said if FU takes off in the future, what he'd like to do is incorporate some other projects into it. Now, these projects would obviously be financed and funded by these fees, these monthly affiliate fees and the one-time sign-up fee, as our membership grew. After paying all the expenses and after funding these projects, if there's anything left over, what we had said would do with that money will then get distributed between the shareholders, which would be Dean, I, and the other contributors, since I already mentioned to you about them holding non-voting shares. So that's how it's going to be. But I don't think there's going to be much of a profit there, at least not for the first few years. And if there was, and it's shared between the contributors, I think it's fair, because the people on the top who are running the whole thing, they're the one putting their time doing the research or doing the administration, or the other contributors are contributing their material, and that's how they get compensated. Now, in the meantime, until the membership grew, the only way they could make the money was through the affiliate program like everybody else. Now, that has changed ever since. Ever since my falling out with Dean, I've thought about it. I've talked to a few people about it. And I want to say that I'm grateful that some of the members of Global Fact have contributed some great ideas. And I'm not going to say much right now about them, because I did say I'm going to make an official announcement of how the new structure of FU is going to be. It's still going to have the alternate economy in there. That hasn't changed, because I strongly believe in it and I stand behind it 100%. Because here's how I see it. I see it, if you have to worry about where your next meal is going to come from, or if you have to worry about finding a job, or to put clothes on your baby's back, any of those things you have to worry about, you're not going to have much time to focus on freedom and teaching and introducing it to others. You know, like Dean said once, everybody needs to start thinking of freedom as a career choice. Anyway, thankfully, some of the suggestions I was given, and I will share with you at a later time when I make the official announcement about FU, because I want to give recognition and acknowledgement to those people who contributed the ideas. Now, at point 27 minutes and 24 seconds into the audio, Dean says he wants to abstain from answering. That's when I asked him, gave him the example. If I was running Global Fact Facebook group for you, you were the owner, and your roommate Darren didn't like an answer I gave him on Skype, and then I deleted him from Global Fact, wouldn't that be unethical? And he says I abstain from answering that. Now, why would Dean choose to do that after he was informed of one of his top administrators' unethical behavior? Keep in mind, people, Alex has access to every member's credit card information, email addresses, names. He's got all the information that you put in your record when you sign up. If he's been put, there's no doubt about it. He's placed in a position of trust. If he already violated that position of trust by deleting me, and he's done something else since then, which I will discuss in our next few episodes, because I want to back that up with evidence. I don't just want to give you hearsay. So if he's done all that, he's already shown that he has no quarrels about violating his position of trust and overstepping his position of power. What would stop him from abusing your sensitive data, your information? Now, if I were Dean, I would take that seriously. This is not a laughing matter here. This is something serious. Someone with that kind of access to information doing unethical stuff like this, he needs to look into it. That's my opinion. I don't know how you feel about it. Okay, I'm going to open up the floor right now, the chat room. There, it's open. You're welcome to ask questions on the chat room. I prefer that you call in because, again, I would rather you talk to me, and I want to hear your voice, and I want your questions on the recording, on the archive. But if you absolutely insist that you want to do the questions on the chat, by all means, go ahead. But I'm letting you know right now, I'm not in the mood for being attacked tonight. I'm not in the mood of propaganda or anybody trying to discredit. I've shown you the evidence. The evidence doesn't lie. You heard it with your ears, how Dean felt about FU. You heard my discussion with him, and that's only one audio recording. There are 3 more to go. And now there's this document that I'm showing on the screen. These are what Alex is saying. You know, I'll let you read. Like he doesn't realize, doesn't even realize properly. He doesn't even know that I've done many things to drive traffic to global traffic. We can't work together, that's for sure, and many others feel that way. I don't know who the many others are. I've only had a conflict with him. Granted, I ended up having conflicts with Martin Sutton and Will Preachman after this whole thing started because they came onto my show one day and started trolling because I was revealing information and evidence. All will be I guess it'll be revealed in due course. I'll continue to develop a few, but it won't be with Tony. So get this, guys. I proposed the concept to Dean, and the Dean admits that. And Alex decides on his own, when he was brought in, that he was going to develop FU, and it won't be with me. Now, not to mention the fact that he was told on that conference call, and by the way, I couldn't find the recording of the conference call. I know I recorded, but for some reason I can't find it anymore. I might have accidentally deleted it off my phone because I'm using Quick Voice Pro, and anybody you guys who use iPhone recorders, they don't title the recording. They just put the date. After you finish recording, it just puts the date. So sometimes I make memos of things I need to do, and I delete them after. So I might have deleted it by mistake because it was just a date that I didn't have a title there onto it. But I will tell you now, there was a witness there. I had somebody there that witnessed the whole conversation because the whole 3-way conference was over loudspeaker. It had to be because I recorded it. So, what I'm trying to say here is that despite the fact that he was told on a 3-way conference that he is not to discuss this with anybody, and that's why Dean suggested that we should get him sign an NDA agreement, and I suggested that too, but somehow we never got around to doing it, and because I trusted Dean, and I thought he trusted him, so I figured, okay, we'll be able to find. I don't think he'd be the type of guy who would go talk to anybody about it, but he did. Here it is a proof for now. He's talking about a few to somebody outside. I mean, even though this person, I think, is a great person, nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that Alex broke his agreement of trust, and he's sharing this information with an outside party. He continues here, he keeps on saying he's doing a lot, but the fact of the matter is he just has to talk on Blog Talk Radio and doesn't appear to do much preparation. He constantly complains about the costs involved, blah, blah, blah. That's not really that. I don't care much about that. I was brought on board at the same level as Tony to make FU happen. That's bullshit. And Dean said it on the recording. When I asked him, did you promise him anything? He said no. He was going to be brought on board as a contributor, no different than any other contributor, no different from Robert Menard, Winston Strout, Max. Any other contributor comes on board, he'd be at the same level as them. Now, all those contributors, yes, they'll be at the same, on the compensation plan, they'll be on the same level as Dean and I. So it's not Dean and I at the top and everybody else under us. All the contributors will be on the same level as us, but they would have no executive decision-making power. The executive decision-making power lies only with Dean and myself. 50-50. End of story. And this is why Alex would never come on a radio show to challenge me on this, because he knows he was not brought in at the same level as me. It is a lot of work developing that web software and assisting Dean, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, that's bullshit too. At the time, I didn't know it, but now I have somebody who's a member of Global Fact who also does what Alex does plus more. This guy has done websites and membership sites for many of the top affiliate marketers in the U.S. And he showed me examples of the work he's done, and he does great work. And after he learned of this falling out between Dean and I, he stepped forward and he said, you know what, I believe in the FU concept. I'm willing to help you. I want nothing from you. Don't pay me nothing. All I want is the knowledge to learn. That's it. And he said, I will do the web platform for you, the web software to run the compensation plan, all that stuff. I've done that many times before. And when I asked him how much is that costly, he goes, nah, it's not that costly. So again here, Alex is exaggerating and stretching the truth. On top of that, he's advocating a business model in which all Global Fact listeners that sign up for a few are his affiliates, and ever few sign-ups, 100% get kicked up to him, not Dean or myself. Doesn't seem fair. Well, it's another blatant lie, because on the next recording, on the next episode, you're going to hear exactly that that's not the case. I'm not sure if it's the next recording or the one after that, but one of the upcoming recordings will disprove this statement completely blow it out of the water. There are many people behind the scenes trying to help Dean and bring awareness, and I'm surprised how people are coming together. I want to the model in selling courses equitable to those who do the work and produce solutions and create many aspects to where people can get an intensive to make this work, but it has to be with people that can work together and not be so over controlling. Yes, Alex, practice what you preach. For about 5 days after Dean got arrested, Tony just ignored people. Let's see. I think in those first 5 days I did 2 episodes, one on the Monday and one on the Thursday. The Monday announced that he was in jail, and we put up the information about the affidavit, where to be sent, and I posted a template of the affidavit on the Global Fact Facebook group. And on Thursday we did an emergency broadcast, I believe it was called. So, not sure exactly what he expects from me. He wasn't involved or helpful and was just selfish and focused on his own wants and made himself out to be doing a good job. Yes, I broke my arm patting my own back. I'll be dialing back the push towards Global Fact in the future, and we'll be sharing a lot of feedback when Dean is out. If Tony's going to play a major part, then I'm out and I'd go do my own thing. I'm passionate about making this happen, making people. Okay, well, here's the thing. He says right here, if Tony's going to play a major part, then I'm out and I'm going to do my own thing. Well, when Dean and I discussed it further, as you will see in the upcoming audio recordings, Dean said, okay, it's clear to me that you and Alex can work together. He's not going to be part of FU. So there, he's not part of FU. Did Alex leave, as he said over here? Because he's full of shit. He didn't leave. He has no intention of leaving. As a matter of fact, he continued to create damage and create trouble, and Dean continued to fail to act, which kind of find mind-boggling. Now, in this paragraph, he has for T4TT. T4TT is a site that belonged to a gentleman by the name of God, I can't remember his name here. But he was. If you read it, he is thrashing and bashing another person's site. As for all the videos, yeah, it's good that so many have mirrored them and got the word. Okay, okay, in that paragraph, there's not much there. However, the person who did the YouTube channel, he told me that he was offended because Alex was trying to take control of that video channel from him. It seems that many want to ride the coattails on Dean's name. Yeah, you're one of them. Because let's not kid ourselves here, people, okay? You know what? I'm not going to mention that. Let's leave that one alone. But not step on and be part of something bigger, or not even produce their own videos or material. It gets a bit diluted, to say the least, and if Dean wants to get more serious about this, things need to be more cohesive and work together. It has to be done right, and there needs to be intensive. I think he means intense. I think he means incentive there, because intensive absolutely makes no sense there. There needs to be incentive as well, but it just doesn't seem right to have some greasy car salesman come in who doesn't even care about the movement, etc. Yes, I don't care about the movement. Where was I? I guess for the first 3 to 4 months of Global Fact Radio, I was paying out of my own pocket because I'm not interested in the movement. I guess the hours I spent doing the Global Fact Facebook group and all that stuff that I did, again, because I care. You know, he talks like I'm getting paid for this stuff. Anyway, you probably don't understand, but I hold a lot of interest in the movement, and as well as making things work with Dean and the FU venture. Well, he holds a lot of interest. I don't know what he means. He lied by saying, and Dean lied as well, on the radio. If you go back to one of my episodes, don't know which one, and I don't care to go through all 14 episodes to find it, but in one of the episodes, Dean says that Alex did his website for him for absolutely free. And I bought it. Till the three-way conference, when Dean came right out and told me that Alex, actually it was Alex that said it. Dean, I think Alex slipped. Alex said that he received $1,500 from Dean for that website. So yes, Alex is not doing it for the money. Now, by the way, those of you who know anything about doing forums and websites like Dean's, there's nothing special with that site. That site, anybody that knows web development, knows how to work with PHP, can do that site for you in less than $300. You can get a template for less than that and build it yourself if you know what you're doing. $1,500? I don't think so. But that's what he got paid. I have a lot more to bring to the table than Tony. Without Dean, his show would be dead, and if it wasn't for the likes of yourself, uploading his shows and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to deny the fact that Dean's show might have helped Global Fact. Hey, it's true it did. But the Global Fact Radio would not have died. It was surviving before Dean came to the picture. We started Global Fact Radio in July. Dean didn't start till September, October, I think. I don't know when the first episode was. I can't remember right now. We were going good, gradually growing, week by week, before Dean came into the picture, and we would have continued growing after if Dean wasn't in the picture. One thing I will tell you, though, is this. 2 things. Number 1, when I did the OPPT episode with Heather Tucci Giraffe, she blew away any numbers that Dean ever brought in. The most Dean ever had on any of his shows, which was, I think the shows about detaxing was his most popular one. There was like 600 live listeners on that episode of Dean's. on Dean's show. When we had Heather Tucci Giraffe, we had over 3,000 live listeners. 3,000. The switchboard filled up twice. Dean, none of his shows ever filled up the switchboard. Number 2, when I did the episode with Lovey Cridge, the lady who presented the evidence that the Income Tax Act was not properly legislated in Canada, I have received more email responses because of that one episode than all of 14 of Dean's episodes combined. I'm still today, I got 2 emails today from that show, which happened over a month ago at least. So please, Alex, do not tell me that Dean made Global Fact Radio. I give him credit that he's well spoken and he draws a lot of people, and I give him credit that the weekly show I did with him did help our traffic, but it wouldn't have killed us. We would have been doing just fine without him. To be honest, I really don't give a fuck about earning money. Yes, I can see that. That's why you accepted $1,500 for your site. Out of this, as I have other opportunities, it stands for, okay, down here. Then having to deal with the likes of Tony playing games. If a full-time job comes of this, then great, as my interest and hobby in searching all this can become my career also. So how is that different from what I suggested with the compensation plan? Not, of course, yeah. Sorry, sorry, Chance. Not to mention Truth Talk. Truth Talk would have draw attention. We grew quite a bit too when I had, what's his name? Chance, help me out here. I'm drawing a blank. The maker of the movie Thrive. What's his name? Foster Gamble. When I interviewed Foster Gamble on my show, we had an increase in traffic as well. I really don't mind if Tony's part of this too, but it would be best if he could pull his head and stop trying to overtake everything. I don't have a clue what he's talking about. See everyone as competition. Okay, I think that pretty much does it. Let me see if there's any more. Oh, here we go. I was meaning to respond to your previous message. Glad you can see where I'm coming from regarding Tony and division. It seems that there are many who want to see this work out. Despite me still pushing people to Global Fact, Tony is not announcing or mentioning Dean's website or his forum, which is a crock because almost on every episode, maybe I might have missed one or two, I always put the link to Dean's forum right along with my links. Who decides who gets on Global Fact? I think it's you, Tony, and the new how-to guests have been great. I was getting a little bored of hearing reiterated information week after week. Thank you. He has set up his own news and his Global Fact 2012. Well, newsflash, Alex, globalfact2012.com was reserved a long time before deanclifford.info was reserved, and I've always had plans to start a blog site. And the person who I had going to have build the web platform for FU was also going to build a site for Global Fact, and that is on one of the earlier episodes of Conscious Living. It's on the radio, it's on the air, it's on the archive. The proof is in the pudding. It's there. It was announced way before Dean came into the picture. So spare me the bullshit. And doesn't want to coordinate with the many people involved. Surely Dean will see Tony's success is not due to his hosting ability, but to the efforts from such as yourself. Hopefully when he's back, okay, well, when he's back, somebody needs to give this guy some vocabulary lessons. Things can be sorted out, but I don't want him at CEO level. Get this, he doesn't want me at CEO level. Like that he has any say in any of this. Of a few, in the CEO level of a few. I won't be providing my platform I'm building, and we'll go it alone. So not only did he violate the confidence and told other people about a few, he's also planning on stealing the concept and doing it on his own. That we entrusted him and told him the compensation plan in privacy. Oh, but speaking of the compensation plan, on the audio, in the second party audio that I didn't record, there was something on there that I need to bring to your attention. When Alex was on the three-way conference call, not only did he say he wanted to be involved, but he also said, and I quote, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to give you guys my web platform, design it for you if I'm going to, for chump change. I'm not going to do it for chump change. I want to be at the, well, how do you say? I want to be at the top or something like along those lines. I want to be top level. So he wasn't prepared to do it for chump change. So yes, again, he's not about money, is he? As for Dean, I really hope he's out by Friday. I would like to see Dean just do his own thing. Can't stand Tony's hosting, and the last talk he did, the people who called in were yelling at each other. People would leave their egos at the door at times and have a more civilized debate with things to back up or discuss why they come to their beliefs or assertions. I guess this guy's never heard of spell checks before. Rather than berate, abducted, yell over another. Okay, well anyway. I think his talks on Angela's show was better, and she butted out, and Dean got to talk with savvy people. Global Fact are mostly noobs. So basically he's insulting all you guys, because he's saying here that on Angela's show, Dean got to talk with intelligent people, savvy people. On Global Fact are mostly noobs. And Syndra is looking less credible. Syndra is Derek Hale, by the way. I think Dean has his suspicions. He could be full of it. So basically, when I went through this document, I marked all the stuff, the negative stuff that Alex was saying with this little bubble thing here, this yellow bubble you see on the left-hand side. So those are the things that Alex said. Now, here's the thing about this, is if Alex is talking to somebody else about a few, he's undermining the project. Now, in his mind, he might be thinking that he's hurting me, but in essence, Alex is supposed to, he cares so much about Dean, but Dean is part of this project. So if Alex is undermining me, he's also undermining Dean. Because if he's hurting the FU project, it wouldn't just hurt me, he'd be hurting Dean, because Dean's also part of the project. He wants this project to go forward. Now, this leaves me with a question that I've asked 3-4 times already, and no one's been able to give me an answer for it. Not Dean. Dean refused to answer it. I've sent it to him in emails. I've sent it to him, I believe, in a text message. I'm not sure, but I've definitely sent it to him. And I've asked Alex the same thing on the forum. When he came into the radio show one day, I sensed remorse, which I believe that's Alex. Anyway, I said, here's the question. Alex knows Dean was on a 3-way conference. Alex knows that Dean heard everything on the 3-way conference. Alex knows everything I said on that 3-way conference, and that I never said I want full control, and that I never said that I want to control it all and I want to make all the money. So here's that question. Why would Alex, where does he get the balls to make lies like this both in private and then later in public on the forum, knowing damn well that in any moment Dean can out him on it. Dean can call him out on it because he knows Dean heard it all. Think about it for a second. If you were in that conference and you knew Dean can call you out on it, would you have the nerve to tell those lies blatantly unless you knew for a fact that Dean is not going to do anything about it? I'll leave that up to you guys to answer. Let me check how much time we got left in today's episode. Oh, we got plenty of time. An hour and 27 minutes. Unfortunately, the second file I couldn't play today because it's almost 2 hours long. Okay, so thanks DX Radio that you think I'm doing an awesome job. Yes, I know. Alex did say that he'll continue to work on a few without me. Heather, Martin, it's a fatal mistake to try to play games with smart people. It seems that Alex and Dean thought they could pull a fast one and got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. It is possible that Dean and Alex will take the concept and do it their own way. Okay, I've caught up now to everything you guys are chatting about. So based on what you've heard so far, and believe me, that's not all. It's not all the evidence. There's still 3 more audio files to go through, and the next ones get even better. But just based on what you heard, this was recorded 3 days after Dean got out. Do you think now that the post that Dean made on his forum, that in the last 5 months this has been nothing but an experiment? Do you still buy into that? And those people who do buy into it, all I can say to you is I can't help you. Nobody can help you. If the government had done something like that, if the government had lied and deceived and manipulated the public for the last 5 months, and then went on the mainstream media and said, "Oh, we did it because it's all for your good. We did it for you guys, for your own good," people would be screaming to high hell. Corruption, manipulation, protests would be forming. Posts on Facebook would be flooding. Petitions would be started to get these people out of office. But no, if Dean Clifford does it, it's allowed. He has the permission, he has a carte blanche to manipulate us, to lie to us, and deceive us for 5 months under the pretense of an experiment and an 8-year-old plan that he's been planning. A lot of people were against the OPPT, including Dean himself, and you can listen to that episode of when he was on the discussion panel, on a roundtable discussion panel. He said himself, "I don't think much of these trustees because they took it upon themselves to act on my behalf without my say-so, without my knowledge, without my consent." Well, isn't that hypocritical? Isn't that what Dean did for 5 months? That is, of course, if the experiment thing he's talking about is actually true. I don't buy a word of that, but let's assume it is true. He was doing experiments. Wouldn't that be hypocritical that he actually acted without anybody's consent? And the funny part of it all is that the people on his followers, the Dean worshippers on his forum, they swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. It's mind-boggling how these people, they're supposed to be awakened. You know, at one point they were sleeping sheeps. They awakened to the corruption that exists in government and banksters. They joined the freedom movement, and they went back into the slumber, except now they're drinking a different kind of Kool-Aid. The Dean Clifford Kool-Aid. All I can see is Dean covering his ass. Could be. You know what? I would have had a lot more respect for Dean if, for example, he changed his mind. Anybody's entitled to change their mind. But if that were the case, if he changed his mind about a few and wants no part of it, all he had to do is pick up the phone, give me a call, or contact me on Skype and say, Tone, you know what? It was great, our concept. I loved, talking about it for the last 5 months, and I'm sorry to have to do this to you at this point in the game. But you know what? I don't think it's something that's for me right now. So go ahead and do it with somebody else. At least I would have respected him for that. But no, he couldn't do that. He had to come up with some bullshit story that's all part of a, what do you call it? An experiment, part of his 8-year-old plan. All right. Any questions? Let me see if on the panel, if there are anybody called in. No, nobody called in on the panel. So are there any questions from anybody? Well, whether he ended the call or not, DX Radio, I can't prove that. I do know that several times I'll be talking to him, and Skype is like that. Calls get dropped. He did pick up after 3 or 4 tries, so I can't say that he did it on purpose. So I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. But here's one thing, is that someone who's close to me, I personally cannot join a forum anymore, and because Alex made sure that my computer was blocked. I don't know how he did it. I'm not sure how, but I think it has something to do with the computer's ID or MAC address or something like that. Because it wasn't just IP address. Because I changed my IP address and tried to go to the forum. I could get to it, but I can't log in. When I try to log in, it would say error or something like that. It would say access denied. So that tells me that he actually blocked my actual PC. He somehow has the ID to my PC and he blocked the ID. But a close person, someone close to me, had signed up and paid $15 or $10, I don't know what it was, to join the forum. And Alex laid into her. This is a woman. And he started accusing her of being me. Granted, she's in communication with me and she was telling me everything, but nevertheless, she is her own person. As a matter of fact, on the last episode of this full disclosure, she's going to be on the air and you get to hear her voice. And she's actually in the forum right now, in the chat room right now. And you get to hear her voice, and she will tell you how people treated her over there, what goes on over there, the kind of things people said to her, the kind of things Alex is still doing, deleting posts. He went into her profile over there, and he changed her picture, her avatar. She had one of those, the standard avatars, the grayed out kind of silhouette. And he changed her avatar into a Tony Soprano picture in a swimming pool without her permission. Now think what kind of violation of privacy that is. Even though he's the admin, he is not supposed to be able to access, to go into people's profiles and change things on them. He went into her profile and changed her picture to Tony Soprano without her say-so. Dean was informed of this. He did nothing about it. There you go. There's other things that happened in the forum, but I'll let you hear it directly from her. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he does. Okay. Somebody just sent me a message on Skype. I'm not going to say the name, but I'm going to, if it's okay, I'm going to answer your question on the air because I want it to be on the recording, and I hope you don't mind. The question was, have you tried accessing Dean's site through a proxy? I.e. startpage.com proxy or hideemyas.com. I personally didn't, but this person who did sign up for a form, to the forum, she got blocked out as well by Alex. Again, for no reason. Yes, she was attacked by some of the members. She attacked back, but she didn't call names or anything. She just basically was quite direct in what she was saying. One of the moderators blocked her. First, gave her a warning. He gave her a warning, and she came back and said to him, "You're giving me a warning, yet while you give me a warning, you call me a coward and a troll. So you broke the rules yourself. You called me two names and you give me a warning. Your warning does not scare me." That's all she said to him. He comes back and he says, "In that case, you're done. You're banned." And he banned her. He didn't actually ban her. He just took away her posting privileges. Then later, Alex blocked her altogether, so she couldn't access. And this is a paid. At least me, he deleted me. I wasn't paid. It was free. But this is a paid client. Her membership, I think, expires in the 24th of the month. So she had 2 more weeks to go. So what she did do is she installed something called Hotspot Shield, or I think that's what it's called. And it hides your IP address. And she was able to log back in using the Hotspot Shield. And Alex was the only admin on at that time. And how do you know that? How did she know that? Because if you remember the form, at the bottom of the screen when it shows who's on, the admins are always in red. Okay, they're always in red. The moderators are in blue, I believe, and regular members in black. I don't know, but definitely the admins are in red. So he was the only admin on at the time. So he couldn't see her on because she had her IP address hidden. She went in and she changed her picture back to the standard silhouette avatar from the Tony Soprano one. She had to change it herself. And then when he saw that she was online again he blocked her out. So it's all Alex is doing. It's like there's no way it could be anybody else because he was the only admin on. When she comes on the show, she's going to read to you the email she wrote to Dean, because obviously she couldn't reply to Dean because Dean apologized to her. He came on the forum and apologized to her and said her name on the forum is Kells. So he said sorry to Kells, and yet within hours after he apologized, Alex blocks her out, and Dean does absolutely nothing about it. Now, if Dean's not aware Alex is doing that, so the question remains is, well, if Alex is able to act this way behind Dean's back, then what the heck's going on? Who's in charge? So there you go. But I'll let her tell you the full story. She'll read the email that she wrote to Dean and his reply back to her. And he assured her that the block would be removed. And that was 2 days ago, I believe. And still, the block is there. Yes, let's plug Truth Talk Radio. This tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, Chance is doing an amazing show with a researcher, I believe, someone that he interviewed. It will be a kind of recorded interview. You're just going to upload it. And this is a person who's got supposedly definite evidence about what really happened in 9/11. That's right. Isn't it Chance? And then next week you're talking about the Boston bombings. There you go. Also this Friday, Chance's wife, Rachel, who's the voice behind the Global Fact Radio audio clips, is going to be on doing her second episode of Alternative Mummy, and that one, the topic for that one is fluoride and your child. 100% proof. I don't know how you can make that kind of a claim. 100% is pretty definite. But I'm definitely going to listen tomorrow and see how much of 100% his evidence is. Okay, that concludes our episode 1 of Full Disclosure, the Dean Clifford Files. Tune in this Saturday. So what I think I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing it twice a week, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. Hopefully I can do it all in 3 episodes, if not 4 episodes, but that would be really stretching it. So the next episode 2 of Full Disclosure, the Dean Clifford Files, will be this coming Saturday at, when am I going to do it? I think I decided to do it in the afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Eastern, and I'll post that up tomorrow. Also, this Thursday, we have a great show for you. You don't want to miss this one. This Thursday, I have a guest, Wally Dove, who is starting a action suit against the Canadian government for defrauding the people, and his lawsuit is going to be it's going to be filed in August 2013. I'll be posting that information again tomorrow morning about that episode. He had 2 lawyers who were going to help him with this case. Both lawyers got let go from the firm they work for because they chose to help him. But then another lawyer, senior lawyer, stepped up and this supposedly what he told me, that this lawyer is retiring, so he doesn't care about losing his bar membership. So this other lawyer stepped up and he's going to help him with it. So that's this Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern. Wally Dove, our guest, will be telling us about his action suit against the Canadian government, which will be filed in August 2013. Make sure you tune in for that one. Anything else, Chance, you want me to say while I'm on the air before I shut it down? Okay. So since there are no questions, then either I must have done a very good job presenting the evidence, or you simply don't care. Either way, it's all good. It's all good. Everything all good, and we want more. Well, unfortunately, DX, I can't give you more today because the other files are bigger and they will not fit in the amount of time that we have left. So it's better off to finish off with a short episode today, and next episode we'll cover the larger audio recordings. Okay. All right, so I'm testing out this video, screen capture software, Camtasia, and if it works, then I'm going to be posting this on YouTube channel. So you'd have the actual screen sharing, all the documents I showed on my screen, on YouTube, so it won't be lagging. And all you have to do is go to the archive on the radio show, listen to it, because the audio will be on the archive, but the video will be on YouTube, and then just go that way. And that's it. So thank you all for listening. I think I'm a little bit exhausted right now. I'm going to take a little break, and I will see you tomorrow on Chance's show, Truth Talk, on Thursday's show, Unconscious Living, with Wally Dove, and Friday with host Ray for Alternative Mummy, and then Saturday again with me on episode 2 of Full Disclosure, the Dean Clifford Files. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll close off with our regular song, The Beatles, Revolution, and after the song, I'm going to shut it down. Thank you and good night.
When you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? You know it's gonna be alright. 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 Say you got a real solution. Love to see the plan. You asked me for a contribution. Well, you know, we all do what we can. But if you want money for people with minds that hate, all I can tell you is, brother, you have to wait. Alright. 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 But if you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't gonna make it with anyone anyhow. Alright. Alright. Alright.
You're listening to Global Fact Radio.